Hey everyone. I recently got a comment from a woman who is 38 years old. She said she enjoys my videos, even though she's not quite my age, and she just enjoys the topics in general that we talk about. And I thought, you know what? That's a video in and of itself. And it made me wonder if I could sit down with my 30-something-year-old self, what would I tell her? First thing I would tell her, honestly, is that not everything I did was wrong. And I say that to anyone. Let me move my rollers over to here. Whoa. Almost knocked over. I thought I hit my camera. But the first thing I would tell her is that not everything you did was wrong. The things you went through, you did not because you weren't smart, not because you weren't capable. You were smart enough to survive a whole lot of the mess that you went through. You were capable of dodging even more mess. For whatever trials and tribulations I went through, could have been more, could have been worse. Honestly, I'm learning a lot of lessons at 30 plus have brought, well, I'm sorry, I should say, a lot of the lessons I learned back then in my 30s have brought me to where I am as a woman who's 50 plus. And so today, I honestly just want to share some of the things that I do wish I had still learned when I was 30. And maybe that's going to save you some of the time and energy and tears and stress or whatever it is that anyone might be going through. I by no means think that I am the expert on this. That's why I feel like my comment section is important. A lot of times there are things that others may want to chime in on and pass along as well. Speaking of which, I don't think I even officially spoke. I should say hello, classmates, to all of my current subscribers. And if you happen to be new here, I am the Kimberly in Kimberly Bonet. And on this channel, I just want to talk about navigating life in my 50s, lessons I've learned. I would even say I'm on a journey to do some leveling up, right? Because I don't feel like it's too late to do any of that. But by and large part, I talk about self-care, self-love, and just navigating this season of life with the confidence that every woman deserves. All right, so I would say lesson number one, and this one was probably one of the hard, no, because all of them are probably hard lessons. So do I want to say that? Probably not, but I think one of the hardest to accept. Yeah, that's a fair statement. I think the hardest thing to accept is that not everyone's going to like you. At 30 years old, I feel like I spent entirely too much time explaining myself and wanting to be understood because I am a person who I have a tendency to just kind of say what I'm thinking, just right off rip. And sometimes that can come across as harsh or brash or any of that. And then I felt like, oh no, let me try to follow that up because maybe that person misunderstood me. Maybe they misunderstood my heart. If they knew my heart, if they knew my intentions and da 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 da. And I would go through trying to explain some of that. And no, what I had to learn later, I think, is that once a person has decided they are not going to like you, you are not their cup of tea, or whatever, first of all, it's not a knock against you. It's a decision that they made, and it's really just none of your business. That's what I had to come to the conclusion of. Whatever they've decided, whatever opinions they have about me, that stuff is just none of my business. And not only is it none of my business, it's actually okay. Y'all go right ahead with that lesson. Get beyond trying to explain yourself to people. Get beyond trying to get them to see things your way and what it is. Them understanding me and understanding how I feel and why I said certain things and what I meant and what my heart is. And none of that is my business. The business you have in this life, in my humble opinion, is to just live your life with integrity. You know what I mean? Like if your joy bring someone else pain, then yeah, you're probably living your life the wrong way. But other than that, live your life to the fullest. Live your life with joy, happiness, and all of that. Live it with integrity. That to me is your number one job, not getting people to like you. Because once they've made that decision, some people decide they don't like you because, oh, she thinks she's cute. Oh, she think what? Let them. Let them think that. It's really none of your business. Period. I would say another thing that I had to learn is that being nice and having boundaries can coexist. For years and years and years, I think I thought that being a good person meant that you pretty much said yes and you tried to accommodate and help people all the doggone time. And that's just not really the case. Not at all. And then if things didn't go my way or if people didn't do what I would have done in that circumstance, I thought they were selfish. I thought they were self-centered. I thought, all those other things. When in reality, they were probably a person who believed in self-preservation. And I should have too, not always putting myself last, not always being available. I don't know, just saying no, learning the word no, and that I could lovingly say it, because it truly, honestly, there were times in my life where it felt like if I loved a person, then I wasn't saying no. I really was trying to accommodate and seeing if I could make it work and squeezing them in and all that stuff. And then you just kind of forget that the number one person you really need to love is yourself first, because you really, really cannot pour from an empty cup. If you've got nothing left, you got nothing to give to anybody, not even those people you love. A lot of times, again, it's not that that person is selfish or any of that. If they take advantage of your kindness, they may not even know they're taking advantage of your kindness. They may just think they're following the pattern that you laid out for them. And I talked about that before, so I won't belabor that point. But yeah, you need to learn that saying no is a high form of respect. It's a high form of self-respect. It's a high form of self-care. It's probably the first form of self-care, saying no to something else so that you can say yes to yourself. So that would definitely be another lesson that I would say I had to learn coming out of my 30s. And I'm using my 30s more so as a pinpoint, because I feel like in my 20s, even in my 20s, I knew I didn't know everything. But by my 30s, 30s for some reason struck me as, oh, I got to have it all figured out. And if I don't, and I'm looking over at this person and that person, and they seem to be doing better than me, then, oh no, that's a problem. I'm really behind. So for that reason, I'm using 30s as a talisman, but it can be whatever age, honestly. All right, so let's see. Another one is that some relationships have an expiration date. And that one was really hard. And again, I think that comes from stepping out of my 20s too, because I feel like in my 20s, again, I knew I didn't know stuff, but by my 30s, I should really know. And whatever friends and bonds I have formed in my 30s, oh, these must be the ones that are to stay for life. These must be the friends that I just need to have forever. And so I would really work on trying to maintain those relationships, when in reality, they probably were not meant, well, no, probably, I'm in my 50s now, so I know better. See how I still have trouble saying that definitively at times? Again, I'm still learning, as are many, many other people. They don't have it all figured out either. But words matter, and so I need to definitely be more concrete with my words. So it's not a matter of those relationships might not have been intended to last. They weren't intended to last. If they were, they would have. So I think coming to an understanding and realizing and accepting that, oh, this season has ended. Yeah. Those were harder realizations for me in my 30s than they are now. Now I meet a person and I'm already quickly in my mind assessing, is this likely to be a person that I'm going to be friends with for a while, for a long while, for a season, for a lesson, for, what is it? My mind is already calculating and ready to move on. And it doesn't mean that when you form a relationship with that person, even if it's a temporary relationship, it doesn't mean that that relationship is fake. It means that that relationship has a purpose, and that purpose may not be to last a lifetime. That's all. I honestly don't feel like it means any more or any less than that. Trying to hold on to it, though, does mean something. It means that you're feeling kind of desperate, and you're going to most likely set yourself up for some stresses and issues and problems that you just really don't even need. I'm always checking for a little bit of breakage, because y'all know I do a whole lot of ponytailing. But excuse me for a second there. Anyway, another lesson I would say I've learned is that rest is not, and I would say I had to learn this lesson more so in the recent presidential election. Rest is not something that you have to earn. It just isn't. You know how people were expecting the 92 to go out and protest and da-da-da-da. No, 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 no. In my 30s, I really thought, well, let me take it back even further than, and let me keep doing my hair. Otherwise, I'll be standing here doing nothing. But as a child, I remember more so my grandparents than my parents always telling me that when you finish eating, that's when you get to drink your Kool-Aid, lemonade, tea, whatever it is. But you don't drink that down until after you've eaten your food. You don't go outside to play with your friends until after you've completed all of your chores. You don't get to watch TV until after, you know what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this. And not all of those rules were bad, but it just taught me that I don't get to rest until after I have done some form of labor or until after I've worked hard. And rest just, I had to learn later, rest isn't a reward for exhausting yourself. It's not a reward for showing that, hey, look at me. I did this so hard. I worked so, no, it's not that. You get to rest just because you're a person, just because you're God made, just because you're tired, just because you want to. Like you just don't even have to have a real and official reason for your resting. You get to rest just because you are human. So stop exhausting yourself. Like that's key. You rest because you're human, not because you've earned it. That was an important lesson. What else have I? I would say another important lesson is that your worth isn't determined by a relationship. Again, coming out of my 20s, a few of my friends were in what I would say were successful marriages. A lot of us weren't. And a lot of us thought that by the time you're 30, that career needs to be jailed down, that family needs to be nailed down. And a lot of times family was pretty much code for you need to be married. I remember, like I said, many of my friends were married. I had been married. So for those who don't know, I've actually been married twice. But anyway, you get in, you get out of a marriage, and I'm in that in-between phase. And it kind of felt like, oh my goodness, I don't want, a lot of men would accuse single friends of being that bitter single friend, right? I never wanted to be the bitter single friend. I never wanted to come across as that person and all of that. But I don't know. I think that's just something society has put in place for women, for us to be well behaved or for us to be some form of good girls or whatever that is. But your worth, honestly, is not at all determined by your relationship status. And I say kudos to the women now because there seems to be a new wave of rejection of marriage, almost to the point of, well, God dog, how are we going to have more kids? Like these women today are not playing. So they got that memo for sure. I probably don't even need to say that. But just in case there is someone out there who doesn't know, I'll say it again. Your worth is not determined by your relationship status at all. Another point I would say is that time moves so much faster than you think. And going back to the whole family dynamic and all of that, I was a mom by the time I was in my 30s. I became a mom in my 20s. And I kid you not, in my 20s, everything was just go. I'm in a hurry. I gotta go. We gotta, get the baby dressed, get the, do all the things. And then I looked up one day and I was like, the baby's not a baby. I kid you not. It seemed like one day my baby couldn't sleep through the night, right? And then I blinked and she was going to kindergarten. Then I blinked. And I really honestly can say I barely remember middle school other than, just trying to get her to establish some hobbies, being in band, being in basketball. My daughter was in a whole lot of activities and things like that. So just trying to find interest. But no, I don't have a lot of memories of middle school. And it seemed like I blinked again and my baby was graduating high school. So that's something I would say. Time moves so much faster than you think. So just enjoy doing the things that you want to do. Make a point of doing the things I'm sorry, I'm caught up in a roller, but make a point of doing the things that you want to do, because you're not going to have that time again, and it's okay if you've missed some of it, but don't keep missing more of it. If there's a class you want to take the class. If there is a trip you want to take the trip. A lot of us get caught up on, oh, we wanted to do a girls trip, and sometimes the girls cancel or something happens, or first check to see if it's a safe place for you to go solo. If the girls can't make the trip, take that trip solo. One of the best trips I ever had in my life was my solo trip to Jamaica. When I tell you, I did so much connecting with God, with myself, and all of that. Beautiful chef's kiss trip. A lot of people think that, oh, you're going to look odd or strange. I encountered a lot of other people taking a solo trip. It was kind of funny because they were like, oh, I'm on a solo trip too. You want to come sit over here? No, because that would take away my soloism. But I had learned to say no. So I definitely did that. But yeah, do the things that you want to do. Don't wait. Don't see if someone else will do it or you can get somebody else into it as well. Just go do it. Do it for yourself because that's what you want to do. Another thing I would say is that being happy is so much, so, I can't even express how much more important it is than being right. Getting back to that second marriage, as that one was coming to a decline, that ex, for some reason, just had an absolute need to be right. He would argue and go on and on, and I would kind of agree. Not so much because he had worn me down or any of that, but because I could see that being right was so important to him, and it wasn't. And so it finally just reached a point where I had to explain to him, I honestly do not care. And that's true today. I honestly do not care about being right. I just want to be happy. I really do. I'd rather be happy than be right. It's just not that significant to me. Sometimes, I guess some people would call it peace. Peace is worth more than being right. So sorry, I'm trying not to make a whole lot of noise. I kind of thought I had myself set up. Being right, it just doesn't matter. And I think when you're in your 30s, you reach this point, because you knew you did a lot of goofball stuff in your 20s. But in your 30s, I feel like you reach a point where you definitely want to be right. You want to prove something. You want to show how smart you are. And that, it just doesn't matter. The next thing I want to say is another one that I did a video on, which is that the best years are not behind you. That's what I say. Take that class. Take that trip. Do the things you need to do to make sure that you've healed from whatever it is. Don't just gloss over something. Take the time to examine whatever is going on in your life and whatever doesn't quite feel right. Make sure that you become the very best you can possibly be. So yeah, if I could go back to my 30-year-old self, stop rushing, stop proving, stop seeking approval and things like that, and just focus on being your best, happiest self. Hot chat, 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 chat. Oh my gosh, I need somebody to save me from myself. I'll have you home before it starts, so let me know. Can I take you? A simple move, never basic. She caught me by surprise, I must say.